Hey, it's Tara Pritchard, confidence coach for women, and I'm excited. I just thought of something. Let me write it down. I just thought of something that just popped up into my mind. So, welcome to day number 2 in our summer self-care secret series. So, as always, I'm Tara Pritchard. I'm confidence coach for women. I help women heal, evolve, and grow so that they can manifest the life and love that they desire and that they deserve. So, day 1 actually got a little messed up, right? It was all about kind of stepping out of your comfort zone, which is a topic that comes up frequently when I connect with women all around the world, right? Even once they get the tools or they go through a challenge or they read something and they get the new information, or they're watching the lives, or they're going through the Instagram posts. And it's like, oh, that sounds good. But actually, implementation, right? It's one thing for you to get information. It's another thing to do implementation. And I find that that's kind of like in the middle, there's a disconnect, right? So we just finished wrapping up a challenge last week. And now it's implementation time. And if you've taken any of my challenges, you know that once that week is over, there's a new level of, responsibility and accountability that comes with that. If you choose not to, further invest in coaching or working with me or working with someone else, then, you're then left to obviously hold your own self accountable and be responsible, which has its own challenges in and of itself. Right? So that's why the first day focused on stepping out of your comfort zone. And I think that summertime is the perfect time to do it just because of the vibe is usually more relaxed, and you're usually a little bit more, I feel like, open to things and to experiences, right? Because people like going to the beach or going on vacation. So, and when you go on vacation or you do an adventure, you're a lot more open, right? Then when you're more open to trying a new food out of your comfort zone. I feel like when you're like on vacation, but usually if it's nice and the weather is nice and it's sunny or you're near water, you're a little bit more open. So I think summer is the perfect time for us to not only practice self-care, but also for us to slow down, but also for you to step out of that comfort zone. So the reason why I said day 1 got messed up is because for whatever reason in the group, Facebook Live, when I went into the group, it said I could post a picture. It said I could post a video. The only thing it didn't say I could do was go live, and I have no clue why. So I went to Instagram first, and I went live there. But Instagram doesn't allow you to save your lives. So I made a quick video on my phone that same night, which is now on YouTube. So you can go to bit.ly/Fierce TV. And you can see the last video. It is the last upload. And if you're already subscribed, you already received notification about it today in some way, shape, or form, or check your email. So welcome to day number 2, which is all about releasing control and taking full responsibility for who God has called you to be. And I think some of the times why we don't step out of that comfort zone is because we're afraid to release our control that we have on our lives, because we want so deeply to write every word of our lives, every character, right? You want to write out the perfect man, right? And we want things to just kind of flow and go the way we want them to. And I know during the challenge, a number of ladies either commented or emailed that they still find that their biggest struggle is with surrender. So they appreciated that day in the challenge. But what they gained from it is that they realized that they still like to control everything, right? And here's the thing about, being a powerful woman. Here's the thing about being a fierce and a confident woman is that there is a level of release and letting go that comes with that territory, right? And the more healed and evolved you are as a woman, as you go on this journey, the easier the surrendering and the releasing and the letting go becomes. And once you start seeing the fruits that come from releasing, surrendering, letting go. And I find myself in that place from time to time. If it's something that I really, really want, I can find that I can get tense about it. I can get anxious about it. I could be constantly thinking about it. And that's when I know that there's some type of block, or that's when I know that I'm trying to control it way too much. If it's constantly on my mind or something's triggering it, then I know that it's something that I am trying to force. right? And there's a such thing as power versus force. And you much rather be a powerful woman than to be a forceful woman, right? Even think about when it comes to dating or marriage. Would your husband rather be with a powerful woman or a forceful woman? Someone who's constantly trying to force, date night and trying to force y'all to look cute for social media, trying to force y'all to act like y'all like each other, try to force y'all to look into each other's eyes and feel something. Who wants that, right? But if you think about a woman who's powerful, and she can kind of work a room, and she's magnetic, and she has a glow to her that comes from the inside out. And if something negative does pop up, she knows how to fight for that thing in the spiritual realm. She can fight for her marriage in the spiritual realm. She can fight for her purpose in the spiritual realm. She knows she's a spiritual warrior. So she doesn't display a whole bunch of nasty or negative behaviors, like being very violent or cussing or fighting or anything crazy like that, right? Because this is such thing as force versus power. And if you look at shows, which I used to watch, don't tell nobody, Love and Hip Hop, Black Ink Crew, and all that kind of stuff on VH1, I no longer watch it. Once I kind of switched and turn my focus, because I don't watch TV that much. And I used to watch and say, oh, this is entertainment, right? And yeah, it is to an extent. However, once I switched over to Oprah's network, right? And I started watching Queen Sugar and Greenleaf, and other shows on her network like John Gray. And I saw that there's something else that really got my interest. It was no way I could go back to looking at people being portrayed in such that one way where they're constantly forcing. And if you've ever sat back and you've watched the way like a reality TV show goes, especially with the Latino women or women of color or Black women, it's forced, right? You notice whenever there's a deep conversation, they're always sitting in a restaurant. They never have any food, but they got 2 drinks in front of them, right? Or sometimes you can see behind the scenes and you can kind of hear people saying, okay, go in there and say this to that person, right? So it's forced. They're forcing us to have an experience and have a show. Whereas when I watch something like Queen Sugar, which is so beautifully directed, is so beautifully written, and then the Black female characters are deep and rich and complex. And, like, for example, the character Charlie, and I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but one of the characters, her name is Charlie. She is, like a high profile at what she does. And she used to be married to an NBA player, but she has her own degrees. She has, her own money. And there are some things I really love about her, but then there's also some parts about her that's like, okay, hold up, right? But it shows that she's deeply complex as a woman. And as women, we are complex. I know I'm complex. I really love God, but I also really love trap music. And somebody emailed me this year and was like, I saw one of your videos and you mentioned that, you like rap and you like God. Like, how does that work? I would feel so ashamed or embarrassed, they said, to admit that, or I would feel uncomfortable saying I like both. And that's fine. For me, that's who I am. I'm deep, I'm rich, I'm complex, and I'm going to be unapologetic about it. I absolutely love to praise and worship God. But I also love to, if you're riding in the car with me, you are going to probably hear stuff you might not expect that I'm listening to, right? All the people closest to me, they already know. But even when they're in there, I try to turn it down a little bit, like, okay, it's not going to be at that level. But I love my music. And in a way I get a very similar experience to an extent when I listen to especially very upbeat praise and worship music or very upbeat, trap music. I get the same beat. And I like the trap music not because I'm into killing people and selling drugs, but because I love their confidence, and I love that they're so confident and they're so much into being powerful about what they do, even though it might be in a bad way. But I always, even when I'm rapping, I switch words up, especially if it's something very negative. I will, and they're kind of saying, I do this, I do that. I say, he does this, he does that, because I bounce it back off and make, like, I'm not doing that. Or I change the words, right? So language is also super important, right? And I know I shared that throughout the challenges or in other challenges that I've done, but language is also important, because what it is that you say, what it is that you listen to, all those things, what it is that you watch, all of those things matter, right? All of those things kind of help you formulate your beliefs, your mindset, and the systems in which you subscribe to. And sometimes unconsciously,